go on the Wednesday edition. Mr. Relevant, Alex Strouf, Joshie DiMaggio, Will Sommers, Hunter Vaughn with you on this Wednesday. Plenty to get into with the Giannis rumors and some movement at 1265 Lombardi Avenue within the coaching staff. We will get into all of that, as well as some One Word Wednesdays and what we missed before we wrap up the show in about an hour from now. But let's start with the only place we really can start today. And that is at 10:20 or so this morning, just about 2 hours ago. Shams Charania, the NBA insider for ESPN, tweeting, two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home at the February 5th NBA trade deadline or in the offseason, as several rival teams make aggressive offers to the Milwaukee Bucks for him. And the franchise is starting to listen, league sources tell ESPN. So, a couple things here. Giannis not being traded yet, and there's two different deadlines in that Shams tweet. It's either in the next 8 days or sometime in the offseason, maybe around the draft, maybe around the 4th of July. But this is the first time I think we're hearing two different parts of verbiage, which are always strange with Giannis updates, but this is the first time we're hearing two things. Number one is, this is the nicest way I've ever heard somebody spell out that Giannis asked for a trade finally. Right? He said the quiet part out loud, but this report doesn't really tell us he said the quiet part out loud. It says he's ready for a new home at either the deadline or in the offseason. That's kind of the first time we're hearing that. And then the second part is I think this is the first time that the Milwaukee Bucks have admitted the end is near and the end is possible. Right, all the verbiage that I think we've heard in reporting throughout the past is maybe that, okay, yeah, Giannis could be interested in New York or he could be interested in a new destination, but we've never really heard the verbiage exactly said that the Bucks are listening. The Bucks are answering phone calls. So this is the first time that I think the Bucks have out loud, at least through this report, admitted that the end is near when it comes to Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is sad, obviously, but throughout the years, you've made as many moves as you can to get this team over the hump. You do that in 2021. Then you try to add on to that window by adding Damian Lillard. That backfires, and this offseason doesn't work out. And, Giannis hasn't really been on the court that much this season. He will not be eligible for All-NBA honors this season for the first time in his career. But, yeah, you're 18-27. You're out of the play-in. You're not good this year. This is not a good basketball team. And if we've learned anything about Giannis, I've said this many times, if we've learned anything about Giannis, number one, he wants to win, and loyalty comes after that. But winning is his priority. And we're at a point now where it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of winning in the near future for the Milwaukee Bucks, as Giannis is still maybe at the back end, but still in his prime. And to hear he is ready for a new home and the Bucks are listening, this is a monumental day in Milwaukee Bucks history because it's the first time that both sides have been reportedly on the same page. And that is, it's time to start writing the next chapter of Milwaukee Bucks basketball, whatever that looks like. And that sucks. That sucks big time. Josh DiMaggio's here. Joshy, I've never read anything normal when it comes to Giannis reports. Mm-hmm. He clearly asked for a trade. That's what this is saying.
Yes. Yeah, it's just, I think Giannis was careful Giannis and his agent were careful on the wording that got out. Because he really, as much as he claims he likes to be the villain, that's very clearly not the case. And I don't even know if he is an actual villain in this case. I don't think Milwaukee Bucks fans resent him all that much. I do think the way things have gone in recent months has certainly built a level of animosity that could have been avoided. Mm-hmm. I think the whole booing the fans back, the uncertainty about his future, the way he talks around everything, the fact that he put to words, I'm never going to ask for a trade, and then he did pretty much exactly that, but is making sure his ass is covered by having Shams do the reporting in the way with the vocabulary he would like. That to me is, I find it kind of chicken bleep. Just say it. We understand it. We know what the Bucks team looks like. The team's so good.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to resent him. Sure, there will be a few. It'll be a vocal minority of people, just because they want to dislike somebody, and that's fair. Yeah. I'm not going to hold any ill will toward Giannis. I think the writing has been on the wall. I think this has been an inevitability since the offseason. I think we tried to put our head in the sand. I think we made our best effort about the leaking of he tried to get traded to the New York Knicks. That largely should have been the final nail in the coffin for all of us. And I have seen a considerable amount of people come around to, hey, this is done. It's just a matter of time. But I do think it's pretty clear this has been set in motion for quite some time. Mm-hmm. I think we will continue to learn more and more about just the way things took place. But I'm not going to ever hold any ill will towards Giannis because getting the Bucks to where he did and the way he did with the way he embraced this community and he took us along for that trip, you just can't do it to me. Now, had it gone an Aaron Rodgers level and been that way, I think so.
Man, we can agree. It's getting kind of close with the
It's
vagueness.
approaching it, but the thing that's going to save him is probably him getting traded at very latest this offseason.
Yeah.
That's what's going to do it. Yeah. Because for Aaron Rodgers, it had become 3 years. And to be clear, he hasn't decided to take on a weekly appearance where he then grinds every axe he could ever find in his closet, which made it a little difference. But the takeaway is just say you want to trade, man. We understand it. Just go out and say it. 2 would be, for me, don't let players interfere, no matter how good they are, when it comes to team building, coaching decisions, all that. We have seen that now fail way more often than it ever works. And I wish them the best, and I hope the Milwaukee Bucks take seriously getting the absolute best in return for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And they've got 8 days to do that before the trade deadline next Thursday.
I'm not certain it happens.
I'm not either. Yeah. I'm not either. I think you and I have been pretty much in agreement since the season started. The most likely outcome is he gets traded this offseason. Maybe around the draft, maybe around the 4th of July. I think we at least get to that point. But this feels different than it has before, and I'll get to that in a moment.
When would you say you fully accepted the fact he was getting traded? Because you were a long holdout.
I was. You talk about head in the sand. Man, I was the best at that.
You might still have sand coming out of your ears.
I think I still do.
I mean, I saw somebody this week saying this is a media
people are still saying it because it's Shams Charania on the report, and we know how Bucks fans feel about Shams Charania because he's been reporting this for, 2-3 years at this point. But it does feel more real than it ever has because it's that last part in the Shams tweet. It's the franchise is starting to listen part. That means something different than it has before. The reason I had my head in the sand, if you want to say that, or the reason I've held out so long is that piece right there. I thought John Horst, if he trades Giannis, he kind of accepts he's less likely to be employed tomorrow than he is today, right? If he does trade Giannis. And that's why I've held out as long as I have. But now that I see the franchise is open to it, the franchise is listening. The ultimate goal for the Bucks would be if you think Giannis at some point is going to walk, it is way better for you to get something, and that would be a lot of something rather than nothing and just letting him walk in free agency or when he can opt out. So it's been within the last week, Josh, to be real honest with you. Probably within the last week and a half.
Wow.
When he booed the fans, maybe it's about 2 weeks. Wow. When he booed the fans, I think that's when I first said, okay, it actually could happen this season. I haven't been in denial that I think it could happen this offseason. I think it's very realistic that it could happen this offseason. I never thought it would happen in season. I thought once the season started and the news came out that Giannis recommitted to Milwaukee and was committed to winning this season in Milwaukee, that was that. I thought the story was dead. We're done. We'll wait until the offseason. I thought maybe we'd get some teams looking around the trade deadline. I didn't anticipate that Giannis would actually sign off on being traded in season after recommitting himself to the Bucks. And so that's why I was probably one of, if not the longest holdout on the idea of Giannis being traded, because today's tweet, it's as real as it's ever been. Both sides in that tweet are recognized.
Well, and also for it to be the announcement that it is, this has been in motion now for a while. I think some people are connecting it back to the Oklahoma City Thunder game. I think if we start to now, and there's a bit error in doing this, but the whole announcement of an injury before there actually was imaging done, and then an announcement of out indefinitely, I think that's probably when this started, right? because
he diagnosed himself right away.
And there is an aspect of, he knew it was his soleus. He experienced the exact same injury.
Right.
But there is also the weird way before, almost to a person, athletes say, well, we're going to have to wait for the imaging. They don't give you the full timeout and the details.
No, they do not.
Unless there is a motive behind the time they're out.
See, I sort of disagree with that.
Okay, and we might never see this, but if Giannis gets traded, do you think it'll be 4 to 6 weeks when he next touches a court?
Well, he's already eliminated from All NBA, and he acknowledged that he was playing injured throughout, since he came back to when he went back out last week. So no, I would imagine he's going to rest as long as he needs to feel fully healthy and actually gear up for a playoff run with his new team.
I wouldn't be surprised if that timeline gets shortened and we see him back on a court if he does end up.
I would be surprised by that.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I think a lot of what's happening
now,
is the Bucks protecting an asset.
I think the All NBA thing matters to him. I do.
I'm sure
I think accolades matter. Obviously, I think winning matters more.
But you have to frame it of he's going to a new team. He's going to want to help them win and get them into better position.
I can probably tell you pretty confidently whatever team he's going to is already winning.
Do you think Giannis ever approaches life? Oh, we're winning pretty decently. Maybe
no. This is a fair point. But I would imagine if he gets traded to, I don't know, the Hawks or the Warriors or I don't know. I'm just throwing out teams.
Pistons.
The teams that are winning. The teams that are, in the 8th seed in the conference are not in on Giannis. This is going to be a team that is going all in for a championship this season. I thought this part was interesting, as did you, Joshie, from the Sharania article at ESPN.com, which dives into this a little bit deeper. Sources said Antetokounmpo has informed the Bucks for months that he believes the moment has come to part ways after 12-plus years together, making a trade increasingly possible. And this dates back to the Knicks thing.
Yeah.
Which was reported after the season started, so it was a little bit weird.
But it had taken place prior to the season starting. Right. Yes. Right. Which, how do I approach this? How do I say this correctly? Do we think there are Bucks fans that might need to issue some apologies to the Windies and the Shams for the things that they had been reporting that were probably mostly accurate all along?
A trade is necessary, but yes. Yes.
Yeah, because you could certainly point towards... they've been saying this for years. They've been trying to get him out for years, and now it's finally real, and it just became real. And if you want to believe that, you can. I think the issues date back further than just this past offseason. Mm-hmm. And that seems pretty clear. I'm sure there's some shoddy reporting that has happened in and around Giannis Antetokounmpo and his future with the Milwaukee Bucks, but I don't think those guys are completely making things up or speaking without knowledge that's coming likely from Giannis's camp or one very close to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, so a couple things here. The Giannis fatigue is real. I know many fans feel this way. I think we feel this way. I remember being at Door County Distillery, what was that, last April or May? And we were already discussing this.
I think we argued about it then.
We did, at length.
Uh-huh.
At length we argued about it. And that's I felt very differently then than I do now. Right? We're to a point now where it's no longer like panic mode for the Bucks. I think they're starting to reach acceptance mode. And that's unfortunate. But if you're going to move on, and if he's going to want to move on, you've got to get a lot out of it. And you're going to get more out of it now or this offseason than you will a year later. So now it's time to maximize the profit you get in return for a guy like Giannis, who is still one of the best players in the NBA. And it's disappointing. It really is, because he's debatably, he's not debatably the greatest Buck ever, but he's debatably one of the greatest athletes, period, to come through the state of Wisconsin. The city of Milwaukee owes so much to him, right? The city is transformed in his 12-plus years here. But there is a level of irritation for me, and I know for a lot of fans when I bring up Giannis fatigue, that we're just not saying what we mean. We're not saying what we feel. Like, we've all been in arguments with one person or another in our life where you just want to scream, just say what you mean. Just tell me how you're feeling. And I feel like that's what we've been doing now for a year plus with Giannis. If you want to be traded, just say you want to be traded. Nobody's going to be mad at you. You won a title. You've won 2 MVPs. You've done so much for this city. You've done so much for this state. You've done so much for this franchise. When Giannis was drafted, there was a legitimate chance the Milwaukee Bucks were relocated. That's not happening anymore, right? Giannis has done everything and more he could for the Milwaukee Bucks. But if he wants to be traded, just say it. Outright, say the quiet part out loud. I request a trade. Nobody's going to be mad. I promise you. This will be like the least angry a fan base has ever been at a superstar requesting a trade. But that is where the fatigue comes in for fans, including me. And it feels like Aaron Rodgers all over again, where it's vague and you don't really know what each side is feeling. And it feels like Favre a little bit, where it's will he, won't he, will he, won't he, will he, won't he. I would just like a beautiful level of truth serum and clarity when it comes to the situation. Just tell us what you mean from both sides, right? Like the Bucks, okay, they're listening. Now, listening matters. Acting's one thing, listening is another. But listening matters, and that's why I feel differently today than I even did 24 hours ago. But when it comes overall to this situation, I want the Bucks to say, yes, we are fielding offers for 2-time MVP and Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just come out and tell us that. If Giannis wants to be traded, post it on your Instagram story, man. I've done everything I can. I love this city. I love that this is home. But the time has come. I request a trade. That's okay. Just say it. That's all I'm asking for, and that's where the fatigue comes in. Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, like, to just reinforce that as a fan, like, I will always be thankful for Giannis for being able to call my dad when he was 11 years old when the Bucks won that first title, and then get to have that phone call with him of like, oh my gosh, they did it. Like, they actually got another title, when he and I always said for years it's never going to happen. So, like, he needs to just say it. This is where he is starting to become a villain for me, because I just don't want to deal with this. Like, he's afraid of what happened to LeBron in Cleveland and the jersey burning, so he's trying to keep himself and everyone else, like, protected. It's like, no, it's okay. Like, we understand what the NBA is. He needs to not worry about what happened to LeBron, because unless he does a national TV program to announce his decision, no one is going to hate him as much as Cleveland fans hated LeBron after he left for Miami.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know if I agree on the villain part, but, he said it last week. He's like, yeah, I'm embracing being the villain. If that was true, I think this already happens. And again, I don't think the overall reaction to Giannis officially announcing he's requested a trade would be negative. I think it would actually be a hefty majority positive, which is unique for a superstar of his caliber.
I mean, for the savvy, I think we all recognize that's what that was.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will bury their head in the sand, the phrase of the day.
So props to me for not doing that.
But I'm certain there will be some of them. But I think the majority of us who have consumed sports media and the transactions all recognize what exactly that was.
Yeah.
I don't think it, even though they didn't say it, it didn't leave a whole lot of room for interpreting it any other way other than Giannis and his agent's desire to not have it said that way.
But I just don't get it. But we're going to get bogged down in that detail. It doesn't really matter.
I think it's important. I think it matters in terms of, like, the way things have gone for the past calendar year, and my agent doesn't necessarily. Yes, he works for me, but it doesn't mean he speaks for me. I want to be the villain thing, like. It's all trending in a way where he seemed to be ramping up I'm going to have to finally request the trade.
I guess the part I'm curious about is you have 8 days until you have 4 months, right? So you have 8 days to either trade him or not trade him, and then you have 4 months to try to convince him this isn't over. Roughly June, right? February to June is roughly the timeline the NBA draft is. I think mid to end June. You could trade him around then. And then obviously we know when free agency and trades and whatnot really pick up is right around the 4th of July. So you have 4 to 5 months effectively, if you do not trade him in the next 8 days, to say, all right, dude, we're going to do it all. And if we have you on this roster October 1st, we're slapping a big, hefty piece of paper in front of you, and there's going to be something in around the number of $60 plus $70 million that you're not going to get anywhere else.
I know this is probably not the answer anyone or any of us want to hear, but it probably behooves the Bucks to extend this longer than the trade deadline.
I think they gain leverage by not trading him before the deadline.
Yeah, and I think it also, assets become more clear.
Yep.
People will have their seasons that tanked and will be willing to move on from players like they're.
I think Atlanta's a team that makes a ton of sense because they own the Pelicans pick. They have young up-and-comers. They have a bunch of future picks. They're a team that makes a lot of sense, and there's a good chance they end up with the number 1 overall pick.
There's plenty of other options, too, where the Bucks won't have to completely rebuild. Like, the Spurs are also a potential option. They have Stephon Castle, who you could get, and they own a bunch of draft picks. Like, there's a really good chance that the Bucks get a young piece and a bunch of future draft picks where we're not, like, completely sitting at the bottom of the East for the next couple of years.
Can I say something?
Uh-oh.
Giannis ain't going anywhere. He ain't the guy.
I tend to agree.
I still think he'd be the guy in San Antonio.
Yeah. That's Wemby's team.
He would be for a year or two.
That's Wemby's team.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Year or two, you win a championship, though.
Giannis and Wemby, though. Oh, my God.
Is that a good team? I mean,
I think so. It would just be freaky to look at.
But there's just a lot of. My point was,
pun intended.
Is there enough room on the court?
Yeah, right. It's 2 versus 5 practically, right? Like they're the Monstars. All right, I want to get to some of your comments. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. How you feeling after the Giannis news? Let's get to some of that. This is good for Matthew, and I think this is a good point by him. I would imagine this is your head out of the sand moment. If you want to chime in with when you realized this was realer than you wanted to believe, I would be curious when that moment was for everybody. And it seems like this was it for Matthew, who says, I think it was inevitable when we received news that his wife and kids are in Greece living and no longer in Milwaukee this season. That was certainly a notable point of this whole saga as well.
Yeah, I think people wanted that not to be as meaningful as it was.
But it was.
Yeah.
It was. And obviously... continues to be as they're not here, and that was obviously a sign, at least, that something could change this season, despite him saying that he recommitted himself to the Bucks for the 25-26 season. But that was certainly a moment for it, and I totally agree with you. I think the Jay Crowder piece of all of this is fascinating. Jay Crowder an hour ago quote tweeted Adrian Wojnarowski's tweet back from January of 24. And it was saying, breaking, the Bucks have dismissed coach Adrian Griffin. And Jay Crowder said, in all capital letters for some reason, we were 30-13, by the way. To bring in Doc, this is what started the avalanche. And the avalanche is obviously the downfall of Giannis in Milwaukee, which I think is an interesting point by Jay Crowder. Now, it wasn't the only thing, right? It wasn't the Adrian Griffin being fired, which, as far as we're aware, Giannis was on board with. Is not the only thing that led to this. There were some poor roster decisions. Yeah, the Damian Lillard thing obviously was a huge part of this. It's a swing you take 10 times out of 10, but it led to as messy of a situation as you can believe, right? They're paying him $22 million a year for the next 4 seasons after this one, including this one. Trying to go out and get Miles Turner is a good swing worth taking. Hasn't worked out. Otherwise, some of your role pieces just aren't guys, and they're inexperienced. They lack veteran presence that Giannis needs around him in order to build a winning and stable franchise. The Kevin Porter Jr.'s of the world aren't going to cut it. The Kyle Kuzmas of the world aren't going to cut it, right? You have dedicated hoopers and family men like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton around him. That was a winning recipe. This isn't, and that's why they are where they are on the outside looking in of the postseason right now. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality in which we live on. So we'll see.
How do we litigate what he said there, what Jay Crowder there said exactly? Because Adrian Griffin was a hire based on Giannis's desire.
Yeah, but he pivoted quick.
Adrian Griffin was also a fire based on Giannis's and the team's desires.
Right.
Is the implication that the next hire was bad because it was just Doc related, or is it they should have just stuck it out with Adrian Griffin? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I feel like everything we heard after Adrian Griffin was fired was like it was untenable. They were winning because of talent, and it wasn't a lot that Adrian Griffin had to do. And then it also goes back to when you let your superstar call the shots, sometimes you end up digging yourself a hole.
And that's another reason as to why it feels like Aaron Rodgers a little bit, but that's neither here nor there.
Can we blanket statement, no more superstars making coaching or personnel decisions?
We can blanket statement it, but that's not going to stop it.
Yeah, that's great
Our
in theory.
declaration
That's
is not gonna
not
do anything.
a reality at all.
I'm
That's never going
saying
to stop.
us here as a program.
We're just anti that going forward.
Right. When that starts to happen, even if we really like whoever it is, be it Jordan Love, he's the most obvious next option. We have to say, Jordan, I love you, but keep your nose out of there.
My hand's in the middle on that, baby.
Ready, break.
Hand in, break. All right, team. Okay. Well, there you have it. All right, well, give me your quick thoughts on the Giannis thing, and then we'll get to the Packers in just a minute.
I mean, it was just time will tell, like Josh said. You felt like the animosity between the two sides going on for a while. And I think, like, the Bucks, like, making this move now or at the end of the season makes sense. And I think there's no hurry, right? Like, you want to get the correct king's ransom for Giannis to that point where the Bucks don't suddenly fall to the bottom of the barrel. So I think it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay for both sides. It's the right thing, and it's happening at a time before things got ugly where we won't remember Giannis being, upset with the Bucks management and wanting to be traded.
Yeah. As you were talking there, it was brought to light 12 years ago today was the day the Antetokounmpo family was approved for their visas. Time is a flat circle, man. That's wild. All right, that's going to be our Giannis talk for today. I'm sure we'll have plenty more over the course of the next week, plus as we count down to the NBA trade deadline, and if something does happen between the Bucks and another team that leads to Giannis's exit from Milwaukee. But I guess no matter what happens from this point forward, this, I think, is the first day that the Bucks stopped pretending nothing was going on, and that carries a lot of weight. This is the day the Bucks admitted something was up and that they were open to it. And that holds a lot of gravity because I think the mindset of a lot of us that are Bucks fans has always been, well, if I'm leading that team, I'm going down with the shit, man. But today is the day I think that the Bucks said, okay, I think this is as far as we can go.
Do you think it's the Bucks?
What do you mean by that?
It seems to me like even if the team continued to stink, keeping Giannis in town is better for the ownership, is better for the front office, is better for the coaching staff. I don't think the Bucks view it as we're going to maximize our asset here because this has clearly run its course. I think when you consider all the factors in what it is running a franchise,
It's a fair point.
the Bucks are better off here. It seems like because of the way the NBA treats superstars and the way things go, that if you request a trade, you pretty much get it granted. Because I think John Horst and the governors of the Milwaukee Bucks all would say, I don't care if we're a 25-win team, Giannis is enough to keep him here as long as we possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So any sort of trade, like they offer him the Supermax in the offseason. If they sign it, they go, hell yeah.
Totally.
There's another $1 billion towards our franchise over the course of this contract. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's them really making a decision as much as them.
The only thing that I think gets him traded in the next 8 days is if it is an absolute cannot miss, unbelievable package, right? If it's 6 first-rounders, 2 young up-and-coming players, one of those picks that has great draft position in this year's class because it's a really good class.
What's the limit on first-round picks you could trade?
I actually don't know the answer to that.
Is it 4?
The market is so messed up now. Like Desmond Bain went for
Desmond
4
Bain went for
first-round
4,
picks.
yeah.
Yeah. Is it 4 that's the...
No, because I think there's been another trade that involved 5.
You can go higher.
Wasn't Damian Lillard 5 when the Bucks traded for him?
A team can usually trade up to 4 future first-round picks, and that's where then the swaps come in.
Okay, sure.
The pick swaps. That's how they counteract that.
Got it.
But yeah, there is, and that's where the exceptions, protections, all that stuff comes into. But yeah, four of your picks is the most you can actually trade away, plain and simple.
I think
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Oh, maybe not.
Well, I was just going to say, like, off of, ownership and that wanting to keep Giannis as long as possible, I think the only trade that would have been able to even keep what will eventually happen here once Giannis is gone, in terms of the attention to the city and the people coming into downtown Milwaukee for Bucks games, would have been if they could have gotten a trade to get the pick to get Con Knipple. Just given that he was a local kid, you would have had in-state interest in that level. They would have never gotten anything worth it in that level. But even if you go and get one of the guys from the Spurs or something like that, it's not going to be the same level of draw. And no matter what the Bucks do now, they are going to be hurting for a while because of it, unless they somehow catch lightning in a bottle and a bunch of guys pan out and they suddenly start winning after a year of being bad without Giannis.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. It's just you got to. Again, I think if they trade him in the next 8 days, it's going to be something where Bucks fans actually have to look at it and go, "Okay, this gives us a shot. Just a matter of what we do with it now." And that's the only way it happens.
And with this front office, I don't trust that, because they've not been good at evaluating young talent. They got lucky with Giannis.
Yeah, but they haven't had a lottery pick in 10 years. Legitimately, they haven't had a lot. They've made the playoffs every year for the last 10 years.
I just want to bring our attention to someone on our great social media team cut the video of me saying the fact he said I'm never going to ask for a trade, and then he did. You want to know what the first comment is?
Yes.
But he didn't actually.
I guess he's right. Well, he's also wrong, but he's both right and wrong.
Right. People are going to cling to that.
Yeah.
They're going to cling. And if that's what makes you not resent Giannis and not go anti, be you. Go on with your bad self. But let's just look at one another and all agree that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all recognize it.
Yeah, I agree with him. All right. If you're watching us live on YouTube right now, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You can participate in the chat that way as well. And you can also hit the notification bell. You can get notified anytime any of our shows, anytime any of our new shows go live.
Has any trade request ever ready for a new home?
That could just be interpreted not even as a trade. Maybe he's moving residence.
This is what I'm saying, though.
He's gonna. This is
what I'm saying.
He's gonna hit the people of Wendorf. Say, "Hey, I'm looking for some new digs. You got my back."
He's moving from Fox Point down to Caledonia. Wants to get out of the city.
But guys, this is what I'm saying. Everything around Giannis is so convoluted and vague. We're never direct, and that's where and this goes back to what I riffed about before.
I don't know why it took me. I was looking at the video and Hunter's great work of the ready for a new home that he has on the bottom scroll there. I read it in the tweet, I saw it, but seeing it posted that way. It's not Giannis has requested a trade. He has requested a new home.
We've been preparing for Giannis news at the station for so long, and we've pre-prepared so many different types of things, and this one was not on our list.
Giannis wants a new home.
Hundreds of different teams, all these different
Every
scenarios.
Option you could consider. Yes. Ready for a new home was not one.
And then this happens, and it's like, what?
He invented a new phrase for requesting a trade.
James Harden, he just always wanted a new home. He never requested a trade.
Always so bizarre, man. Every piece of reporting around this has been so weird. Ready for a new home. That's awesome. All right, let's move on, because I do want to hit this quick before we get to One Word Wednesday and what we missed before we wrap up the show. And that is around the Packers offensive staff. So there's a couple of things here that have triggered me. Josh, I'm triggered. Triggered.
Hashtag triggered?
I'm triggered.
Oh, no.
Specifically around some of this Adam Stenavich stuff, the offensive coordinator. And, I've been getting texts because I went on a big rant yesterday on KBN about Steno. So I've been reading some of the comments and the tweets and some of the texts we got on the show yesterday, which I always appreciate everybody's point of view, right? Because I think I, along with everybody else, don't know what Adam Stenavich does on a day-to-day. I don't know what he provides to the team. I don't know what he provides to Matt LaFleur. I just don't. I'm not in the meeting rooms throughout the week. But There are some concerning things to me. And one of them is the lack of interest he drew from across the league. There was 10 head coaching changes this offseason. And he's been the offensive coordinator of a highly successful offense for several years. I don't think he didn't get one head coaching look, if I'm not mistaken.
Stenavich?
Yeah.
Of course not.
Well, that should be concerning when you're the offensive coordinator for several years of a highly successful offense. And then the other part of this is, Joshy, is if there's 10 head coaching openings, how many offensive coordinator openings does that give you? 10, but
more,
yes, actually more than 10, because like you look at the Chargers, they fired their offensive coordinator. You look at some other teams, they fired their offensive coordinator, not their head coach.
The Broncos did as well.
Yeah. Haven't heard his name pop up for that. All these teams. The Jets did. That was yesterday, so maybe we'll still hear his name. But regardless, we're talking about like half the league is in need of a new offensive coordinator, several, and actually a majority of which come with play calling opportunities, and we know that he got interviewed for one. He got interviewed by the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I guess I believe there was
a rumor about Miami.
Yes.
He never interviewed,
but
is my
that
understanding.
might have been actually for a offensive line position.
Would have been demotion?
Yes.
So, but my overall point here is, Joshy, is if the rest of the league is going, we don't view that guy as a real candidate. We don't view that guy as a guy that can come in and improve our team as we're looking to turn things around because we need a change at this position or at this coaching position. That should be a red flag. That should be a red flag for Matt LaFleur, who, again, my overall thing and overall theme of this whole offseason has been if you're going to make coordinator changes, and I think you should, it's because fresh ideas are necessary.
I think we still have time for a offensive coordinator firing and then a cycle of hiring a new one. I don't think we're blocked out of that. I think you can say the lack of urgency may be concerning. But if we recall, Maurice Drayton was 2 weeks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The bottom line right now, you can see it on the TV right there. By Hunter, if you're listening on the audio side. Is Adam Stenavich getting a new home? That's really well done by Hunter. Sorry, continue.
Maurice Drayton, I believe, was like one of the most obvious firings of all time. They were the worst. They improved greatly on punt returns from going from negative yardage to greatly when they made a change at the punt returner position. And I believe they were averaging then at the end of the season like 1.4 yards per punt return. It was something absurd, but it took Matt LaFleur 2 weeks. And you can point to this being a fault of his where he has a hard time firing people and moving on from people he probably deserves to. And he probably should. I also think there's multiple layers to this. He was given a contract extension, a good one. One that enriched his family for generations to come. And it was reported that there was no stipulations put on him of staffing changes. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand why people like me and like you would be frustrated by that, because after you suffer a devastating loss in that way, potentially like a, changing of the times and the Green Bay domination of the Chicago Bears, you would like to see there to be wholesale changes and improvement and an addressing of the shortcomings of the season. Right now, it seems like Matt LaFleur is secure enough in his position that he can or can't, he could do what he wants. It's up to him. If he feels like there's no better option out there, he doesn't want to change the scenery, who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like that's the case. I still am holding out hope that he eventually will be let go of his... that sounds bad. I don't like the phrasing of that. I'm hoping they will look in a new direction for that position. I thought Adam Stenavich, he might be... You know how we say some coordinators, we're trying to make the case for Jonathan Gannon. Some head coaches are better just as coordinators. Maybe some offensive coordinators are just better as offensive line coaches. There's been dozens of guys who have made quite lucrative livings being really good at coaching that position. Mm-hmm. And maybe offensive coordinator's not the best spot for him. Do I think he has a future in the NFL? Almost certainly.
I totally agree.
There's enough success in and around what he's done to make a case for him. I do think the Packers would be better served to move on. But I don't think expecting Matt LaFleur to be in any rush, I think, is sort of misplacing a degree of anger based on all the facts we know.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're spot on with this. Now, we will see. Obviously, the Packers have never been the fastest team when it comes to some of these offseason changes. But a couple of other assistant notes, have come through since Jonathan Gannon was hired over the weekend as defensive coordinator. This seems like a big get, but it broke right after the Giannis news, so I think it's flown under the radar quite a bit. That is the fact that the Packers have hired Bobby Babich as their defensive pass game coordinator and secondary coach. Bobby Babich has been the Bills' defensive coordinator each of the last 2 years. So at least as we're looking at it right now, the defensive staff has 3 former defensive coordinators on it, and one former head coach in Jonathan Gannon, who's obviously also a former defensive coordinator, is one of the 3. DeMarcus Covington, their defensive line coach, was the Patriots' defensive line coach. I can still say last year, right? Because the Patriots season is still alive?
Sure.
Okay, so last year, 2024, is when DeMarcus Covington was the defensive coordinator of New England. And now Bobby Babich, who was the Buffalo defensive coordinator each of the last 2 years. So that staff actually looks like it's coming together pretty well as it stands right now. They still have a linebackers coach to hire, so we'll see what they do there as 2 guys go with Adam Downard and Sean Duggan. They go with Jeff Hafley down to Miami. But that's a good get, it seems like, by Jonathan Gannon and Matt LaFleur in the back end of their defense and Bobby Babich. So that's good. That actually is a good sign of some of the assistant coaching news that there has been a lack of recently in Green Bay. So thumbs up there. We will talk more about the Packers, more about the future of Adam Stenavich, and more about the rest of the assistants coming up on Friday because we're running out of time and we've got a lot to get to in One Word Wednesday. It's been a big week across all sorts of sports, so especially the NFL. So looking forward to getting into this edition. Myself, Joshy, we will respond to everything Hunter's got on his list with one word, sometimes less, sometimes more. It's One Word Wednesday. I'm Mr. Relevant Hunter. The floor is yours.
We're going to start with the Wisconsin Badgers schedule. So I broke down their schedule in the 3-month increments, and I want you guys, for your one word, to give me how many wins you think they will get in that month, okay? Starting
how many games?
What?
It's going by the month.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm going to go
it.
by the month. So I'll tell you what games are in that month. So they start off their season on Sunday up at Lambeau Field, taking on Notre Dame on September 6th. Then also in September, they host Western Illinois, Eastern Michigan, and then they open up Big Ten play against the Fightin' Matt Campbells and basically Iowa State, but it's at Penn State for their first Big Ten game on September 26th.
2.
I think they can get 3, but okay. In October, I think they're gonna. I think Penn State's gonna struggle early. I think Matt Campbell's good, but I think it's gonna take him a year. In October, on the 3rd, they host Michigan State. Then they'll have a bye. Then they are at UCLA, home against USC, and then at Iowa on Halloween.
2.
I'm sorry, I got confused. Say them again quickly.
Michigan State at UCLA, USC at Iowa.
1.
Wow.
That one, they're winning 3 games in there. Michigan State's terrible. UCLA's terrible.
Hunter, did you do this just so you could be optimistic about
Hunter's already got
He
them
doesn't
bowl
care what we
eligible.
say.
They're already bowl eligible.
They'll be bowl eligible by Halloween. And then
I felt like you were so frustrated, and now you're so optimistic.
yeah, because
Big portal
this
season.
This schedule sets up really well for them. They finish up in November
hold
with
on,
4
but-
games.
What can I just before we move on? What if
Oh, boy.
they just suck?
Then I'll be
Even
right
if
there
they
on
have
the
a more
fire
favorable-
fickle. Yeah, like this is the make or break season of it. This schedule sets up well for them as we finish up here in November. They've got Rutgers at home, at Maryland, at Purdue, and then they finish up against Minnesota.
All right. I am going to agree with Hunter. They're bowl eligible. I've got 2. 6 total.
I've got 2.
2.
I have them at 5 wins.
You have them at 5.
That was more
You and Will have them at
optimistic
5.
than yesterday. I gave them an extra win.
Yeah, Will and Josh had them at 5 and 7. I have them at 6 and 6. Hunter, you have how many in November?
12-0.
I really want to give them 4 and a 10-win season.
Oh, jeez. You gotta be kidding me.
I
We
think
get on Strouf for being rose-colored glasses.
They won 2 Big Ten games last
You
year.
stomping on him.
Colton Joseph is the truth. They're going to be much better.
Oh my gosh.
Hunter! Every starting quarterback they brought in the Fickle era hasn't made it through the first 3 weeks.
Also, every
This is
other
gonna be
team is
different.
doing the exact same thing.
This is going to be different.
Remember? This is now making me feel nostalgic for last season when Hunter gave the impassioned they're going to be better at these easier games ahead, and then they just kept losing.
Yeah,
almost
the
lost to
quarterback
Middle Tennessee
injuries didn't
State.
help that. Hunter Simmons really let me down. So, yeah, Badgers are winning 10 games. They're going to be a lot better.
You're the only person who's ever said Hunter Simmons let me down. I think he did his best.
Yeah.
He did,
was,
but he
that
was
was a-
even worse than I expected him to be.
He exceeded my expectations.
that was a good exercise. I enjoyed that. What's next in Woodward Wednesday?
We got to go to Mike McCarthy's introductory press conference with the Pittsburgh Steelers and this interaction when asked about a certain quarterback.
Mike, Tim Benz over here from Trib Live. Question, just a football one for you. I'm not asking this from any other perspective except your own personal preference. In your best case scenario, do you want Aaron Rodgers back as your quarterback next year?
Can we pause
That's
quick?
nice
Can we
the way he
pause
asked
just real
that,
quick,
right?
real
That was
quick?
slick. But
I just want to throw out, as Mike just said, that setup to that question, unbelievable by this reporter. Like, so well done.
Boxed him in.
But he had to answer. He couldn't answer the question without answering the question. So really, really well done by that reporter, and he deserves a lot of props for how he set it up as Mike McCarthy gave him. Also, I mean, it's not like Mike McCarthy is a dishonest answer. He's great in press conferences. We will now listen to Mike McCarthy's answer on Aaron Rodgers. Thank you.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. But, I think just like anything, knowing Aaron long enough, going through seasons, I think when players, to see Mel Blunt here, I mean, when guys are up at that stage of their career, they need to step away and decompress it. I think that's very important. The game is so emotional, what these men commit to and what they put into it. I think that time away is important, and I have spoken to Aaron, and so that's really where we are there. But I was able to sit back and watch the games. I watched most of the Pittsburgh games on TV, and I thought he was a great asset for the team.
There you go. There's Big Mike on Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to use this as my one word. Reunion.
My one word is cute. I understand why he would want to restore his relationship with Aaron Rodgers. All Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy do is accomplish another 9-8 season and a first-round playoff exit. I think it would behoove him and that franchise to look towards the future instead of trying to, in his year 43 season, he'll be 43 next year.
He'll be 43. He'll turn 43 in December, yeah.
My word's content. Mike just seems happy to be there. He also said he was excited about getting to work with Will Howard, and let's be honest, no one's excited to work with Will Howard.
That's fair. The other word I would use is nostalgia. I just wanted this one last rodeo between this two. I would love that.
Can you imagine late November, Steelers are playing a slop fest. It's an unwatchable game. Mike calls a play on 3rd and 4. Aaron hates it and screams at Mike. And then Aaron runs his own play and they come off the field.
I'm really curious about this because the phrase time heals all wounds. I mean, these guys won a Super Bowl together, man. They achieved the highest of highs. Rodgers, as we know, though, was a petty guy. He was a big part of why Mike McCarthy got fired in season the way he did.
Yeah, he's done the because Aaron Rodgers will never apologize for his previous actions. He'll just correct them.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a good job of showing his appreciation for Mike McCarthy for probably the mistreatment of past. I think he's more than happy to play for Mike.
I hope it happens then. What's next?
Last one, Bill Belichick did not get into the Hall of Fame. There were reports that Bill Polian may have sabotaged it as retribution
He
for
whipped votes.
Spygate and Deflategate. But then he said,
hold on.
could not
Yeah, here
remember
you go.
100% with 100% certainty if that happened.
I think there's an important distinction there. The first person who talked to him, he said, I definitely voted for Bill Belichick. And then when asked again by a different reporter, he said, I voted for Bill Belichick. Well, with 95% certainty.
Could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Bill Belichick.
Folks, that's what we call lying.
Folks, that's what we call you don't deserve a vote.
Nah, that's a tip of the cap. Whenever you do something you're not supposed to, you just the default setting is I forgot. I don't remember what I did.
Basically pled the fifth.
Abolish.
It's sort of like when George H.W. Bush said he didn't know where he was the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
That was not the twist.
Hunter gets it.
I do. I wasn't expecting
anticipating.
it.
My word is abolish, and that would be whatever system it takes to vote in Hall of Famers.
I'm going to say cheater. I think he deserves to be in, but I think you also run the risk of having people then grind out their axes. I do think it's very interesting, and it's sort of gone under discussed. In the report about Bill Polian being the person whipping up votes against or to not vote for Bill Belichick, they explicitly mention his relationship with one Robert Kraft.
Huh?
It certainly seems like the implication there and the thing they want us to read between the line is there's a very powerful person who owns a football team that might have put in someone's ear, hey, make sure he's not first ballot.
And you know who else is up for the Hall of Fame this year?
Yes.
Robert Kraft.
Yes.
My word's sympathy. People can't forget things now. Like, we're not all perfect.
You forget a lot of things, Will?
Yes.
I do think there's a degree, and this doesn't get talked about nearly enough. They were illegally filming another team before the Super Bowl.
Okay, but you can't Josh, you can't set the precedent now. Like, baseball's at least been consistent.
That's not what I'm saying. You jumped all over me for something that hadn't been said.
Oh, wow. Defensive Joshy.
Did.
Defensive Joshy.
No, offensive Joshy.
What I think is...
Do you not know how to whistle?
I do think a league like the NFL might have not made that as big of a deal as it probably should have been because of the PR nightmare surrounding it. And I do think that if you're somebody who says, I don't think they paid their penance, I'm going to stick it to you. We're all human. You'd like to say we're all better than that. But a guy like Torrey Holt, who would almost certainly be a Hall of Famer with 2 Super Bowls under his belt, he doesn't have a second one. Mm-hmm. Now, we can't say for sure that the Rams would have won that Super Bowl, but there is a degree of fallout here in other people who have suffered because of the things that Bill Belichick did. And I know people are going to Deflategate. Was it real or was it not? I mean, they called the guy the deflator. Does there need to be any more? The equipment guy was called the deflator. What else is that guy doing?
Deflating.
Linebackers are also
It's just
called
an
Mike
inside
Williamson,
joke,
and their
Josh.
names
Come
aren't
on.
actually that.
Like, I do think Bill Belichick should be in because his body of work is certainly more than the cheating. It is hanging over his shoulder. It is looking at you. Hey, you got this. But he's clearly, if not the best NFL football coach to ever live, one of the 2 or 3 best football coaches to ever live based on your personal specifications and how you want to downgrade cheating?
You think there's a level of jealousy that he's got a 24-year-old girlfriend?
No.
Okay, just thought I'd
I
throw
think
that out there.
most people relish in it because they think it's affecting his legacy.
Oh, it is.
Eh,
Okay, let me rephrase the question. If he's not dating the 24-year-old, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't. I think that was, I think we got a little Game of Thrones, or what's the political TV show with the guy who's canceled now?
House of Cards.
A little House of Cards action. You do this for me. I do this for you.
Will and I looked at each other when you said that, and we both went, I have no idea what he's talking about.
I was waiting for Hunter, to be clear. I didn't expect either you two to
That was a great show. Very disappointing when he got canceled, given how good that show was.
I wish we had eyes on each side of the stare. Will and I just gave each other. It was the blankest, deadliest stare we've ever shared.
I said political TV show, and they're like, it's probably dialogue based. I would have never watched that.
I don't know what they play on C-SPAN.
C-SPAN.
It's a Netflix show. It's famous.
Well, I think this is a good transition into I'm taking the ball for what we missed. We have to review Wildy and Tausch trivia and a certain writer of the trivia question. So we have the final couple minutes here, and we're just going to play this for those that might have missed it.
There's no way Strouf didn't use AI to write that question. No way.
Yeah, and I got to be honest.
What gives you that
confluence? Get out of here. You think he's using the word confluence? Come on.
I'm going to be honest. I am underwhelmed so far by his questions.
Yeah, these are...
well, they're nothing funny.
They
didn't do anything
the
funny
third
yet.
option on question one wasn't funny.
That first one was really
not
hard.
even remotely fun.
Yeah. All right, let's... Travis, I apologize.
So before we go any further, before we get to the final question, that's the worst part of this, Strouf, any thoughts? Anything you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, so Jesse texted me at like 8:15 this morning, as he does. He doesn't do his job. And he said, hey, I'm going to Stevens Point tonight. You want to write trivia questions about Stevens Point?
God, he's so good at that.
And I waited until about 9:30 to respond. And I said, when do you need it? And he said by 9:45. So he gave me 15 minutes. And didn't really give me an option. So, yes, I did use AI assistance. However, I had it write like a bunch of questions, and then I went through it. So question one was, Stevens Point, Wisconsin is home to the world's largest what? A, cheese festival, B, trivia contest, C, Oktoberfest. Trivia contest is the answer. I've talked about that many times, both on Wildy and Tausch and the other two. Or other shows. Question two. Stevens Point is located at the confluence, which I underlined and italicized. I'll get to this in a moment. Stevens Point is located at the confluence of the Wisconsin River and which smaller river? The Fox River, the Rock River, Plover River. The answer is Plover River. But in parentheses after the question, I wrote, figured Tausch would enjoy my insertion of the word confluence.
The junction of two rivers, especially rivers of approximately equal width.
Correct. So confluence, I added in. And so I edited that question because I knew it was a geography word that I could use. And I literally made a note in the question that said figured Tausch would enjoy the word confluence. And he actually ripped me for my use of the word confluence.
We need to address true or false. You're aware that every third option of the first question is always supposed to be a joke.
False.
That was a major part of their gripe.
Yep.
I guess so. The other part, I guess it used to be true. I haven't produced that show in years. I've lived in Milwaukee a long time. I haven't written the questions in years. I used to know that. This is the first I remember of it, though.
So are we aware as a group here that confluence, yes, does speak of rivers meeting and coming together. Confluence can also be used like a confluence of things.
Of course, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure because Will read that one off and it fits. It's apt.
He was reading the definition in which I used it.
Define apt.
That was from my brain.
Yeah.
Define apt.
Fit. Fit for.
Sure. We'll give you that.
Okay.
All right, Hunter.
Josh, just say I'm right.
Hunter, there's more.
Yeah, we got the final question. Because we just need to see
Appropriate or suitable?
Tausch's face here.
Again, we will
Can we
review.
get a Stevens Point Joe to write these questions or somebody else? I mean,
Levi.
Levi from Plover could have wrote
right. Exactly. All right, question 3. Stevens Point is often referenced as being near the geographic center of Wisconsin. Which nearby city actually marks the official center of the state?
I know it.
Is it Marshfield, Plover, or Wausau?
Nope, none of those are right.
Uh-oh.
They're not right. None of those answers are right.
Oh, no.
There is literally a flag in the center of a lake in Pittsville, Wisconsin. That is the center of the state of Wisconsin. Pittsville.
Oh, no.
So none of those answers are right.
All right.
They do go on to
right, so
discuss
this
your
is,
punishment, but yeah, we'll leave it there.
glad you think it's funny.
I'll get to that. So this is my first time hearing this live. I apologize to Travis and Blue Mounts, who was our winner of Over-Under on KBN last week. So is he even eligible? I don't know. I don't mean to throw him under the bus. So yes, I AI'd this. And I figured it was roughly Plover because whenever I've explained Stephen's point to somebody that is unfamiliar with Stephen's point, and when I say I went to college there, I always say it's smack dab in the middle of the state, right? I like do the little hand mitten thing and I point right in the middle of my hand. So when this question came up, I said, oh, Plover makes a ton of sense because it's a little bit north. That would be a little bit like more centered. So that would make sense. Or maybe it's a little bit south, regardless. So bad by me. Incorrect. Bad by AI. Incorrect. Now, the punishment was they want me to write questions again tomorrow. So Jesse texted me in a group chat of, it was me, Jason, Tausch, Kyle, Ben, and Brad. And Jesse said, quote, while we at Wilde and Tausch appreciate the willing contributions of Mr. Stevens Point providing today's Stevens Point trivia questions, a lack of creativity and an inaccuracy has led to a verdict demanding a redo of the assignment for tomorrow's program. I responded, we here at Mr. Stevens Point headquarters are vetoing your delegation. You are not allowed to delegate your work 2 days in a row, though we appreciate you giving more than a 2 hours heads up this time around. I will happily attempt on another WIAC Wednesday. Or WIAC Wednesday, as he calls it.
I'm going to be honest. I'm just thinking about my career and all the places I've gone wrong where I haven't been as good as Jesse at making other people do my work. The fact that I've taken on so many things and just done them myself is an utter failure. I have
Look in the mirror.
I have to this point let myself down.
That's fair. That's fair.
It is his greatest skill.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's truly remarkable. And as somebody that was managed by him for 3.5 years, man.
It's unbelievable.
I let it slide a lot. I'm not letting it slide 2 days in a row.
Will, get ready, Buster. Things are changing.
They already have been.
All right,
Josh made me go get him a latte today.
is that true?
No. The only things I've
He
asked,
said, you got 5 minutes or else I'm going to pour it on you.
the only things I've asked Will to do are all things that fall within his job description.
All right, that does it for us today. Good show today, fellas. Lots to get into. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We'll be back with you Friday beginning at 12:30 Central. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube, as well as the ESPN Wisconsin app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts if you haven't already. No. I coughed in the middle of that. Make sure you subscribe there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, ESPN Wisconsin app. Until then, we will talk to you on Friday at 12:30. Peace.